Hi, and thanks for joining me for the 2.8 practice review. I'm going to use these 6 problems just to help you clarify which method to use when solving for each piece of our puzzle. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and look at number 1 first so that we can first determine what we're solving for. Then that will help us determine what method to use to solve for it. So it says what percent. So that's our first clue that we're actually going to be solving for the percent of 600 is 12. So now we want to go ahead and identify what this 600 and this 12 represents. So it says what percent of 600 is 12. So before we actually start that, let's go ahead and set up our percent sign because that's always the easiest to set up. So remember, I had you write percent each time. And since we don't know the percent, that's where our block is going to be now. So percent and always 100 on the bottom, right? Percent is per 100. So we don't know that, we're solving for that. Now on this side, we need to figure out what the part is and what the whole is. So let's go ahead and look at that now. So it looks like we would put the part here, of course, and we would put the whole down here. So now let's figure out what is what. It says what percent of 600 is 12. So percent of 600 tells us that that 600 is actually the whole. So if you go ahead and write your 600 right down here, you know that that 600 is the whole because it says what percent of 600. Then it says is 12. So the is 12 actually gives you the part. So right up here. From here you should be able to solve no problem at all. So you would just go ahead and excuse me, to get from 100 to 600 you would multiply, back that up just one step. To get from 600 to 100, you would divide by 6. Now, I almost made an error there. You want to make sure you're going in the direction that you need to find out. So see, we need to find out the top, which is the percent. So we have to go from left to right. So now we're going to divide by 6 on the top as well. So 12 divided by 6 gives us 2. So our answer is 2%. So this one will continue to have the percent sign up because they're actually asking you to solve for the percent. Now, number 2 says $4 is what percent of $50? So again, they're asking us to solve the percent. So let's go ahead and set that problem up. And remember, when we're doing that, we're first always going to start with the percent side because we know that's easy. Now, we don't know what the percent is, so we know that's going to be a block. And then this is going to be per 100. So percent. So that side is taken care of. Now it says $4 is what percent of $50? So $4 is going to be the part, P-A-R-T, and obviously the $50 will be the whole. So again, now that you have it set up this way, this should be a piece of cake for you to solve. And remember, it might be easiest if you make your arrow on top first because that's what you're missing, and then go, okay, I'm going to have to go in the same direction on the bottom. So how did I get from 50 to 100? I multiplied by 2. So that means on top, I'm also going to multiply by 2, and I get 4 times 2 is 8. And remember, whoops, go back one. Remember, that's going to be 8%. Now, you don't want to get confused. This one's actually asking you for the percent, so you need to keep the percent sign there. All right, now let's go ahead and look at number 3. It says, what number is 35% of 20? So here they've given us the percent, so let's go ahead and get that out of the way. We know it's 35 per 100, and off to the side I'm still going to write my percent, so I'm reminded that that's where that comes from. So we've taken care of the percent. Now it says, what number is 35% of 20? That of sign tells us that that 20 is the whole. So let's go ahead and write that 20 as our whole down here, and we label it. It's important that you're labeling these things so that you're able to figure out what you're missing and how to get there. So now we know that we're going to be missing the part. Okay, so we're going to be solving for the part. And again, before you actually start solving, you're going to want to go, okay, I'm going to need to get this here, so I'm going to need to go from this side to this side. So now I'm going to need to go from 100 to 20. So to get from 120, I need to to get from 100 to 20, I need to divide by 5. So to get from 35 to my answer, I'm also going to divide by 5. So the answer here is going to be 7 is 35% of 20. All right, for this next problem, it says 15% of 20 is what number? So again, we're going to start with our percent because they did give us the percent, so it'll be 15 per 100, so it's percent, okay? Then we're going to identify, did they give us the part or the whole? So let's go ahead and take a look at that. 15% of 20. Remember, that word of is what tells us that that's the whole number. Of 20 is what number? So this is whole. And so now we're going to be solving for the part. So let's go ahead and write part right here and put our box here. And then we need to ask ourselves, okay, how are we going to get, which side do we need to get to and from? So I need to get, let me change the marker here, sorry. So I need to get, excuse me, from 15 to my answer, so that means I need to go from 100 to 20. So to get from 100 to 20, I'm going to divide by 5 again. So to get from 15 to my answer, I'm going to divide by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So then we find out that 3 is 15% of 20. All right, now we see here on number 5, it says 13 is 26% of what number? So let's decode that. Again, what's the first thing we're going to start with? That's always percent. Even if we don't know the percent, we're always going to start setting up that side of the proportion first. So we do know the percent here, so it's 26 per 100 because that is per cent. So we've taken care of the percent. Then it says 13 is 26%. So if they're telling you that this number 13 right here is a percentage, then they're telling you it's not the whole thing. That's how you know that 13 is the part. So 13 goes in the part spot. And then we're going to identify that as the part. Then we need the number that is going to be the whole number. So that's actually what we're solving for. We're going to solve for the whole number. So now, how do I get, and which way do I need to go? I need to go from 26, let me change colors on us here. I need to get from 26 to 13 because I need to get from 100 to my answer. So to get from 26 to 13, I'm going to divide by 2. And to get from 100 to my answer, I'm going to divide by 2. So 100 divided by 2 is 50. So the way that you would write that answer is 13 is 26% of 50. All right, so here we come across number 12, and it says, what number is 15% of 40? So when we come to this problem, we could try and solve it with a proportion, but when it's saying what number is 15% of 40, we're really just talking about section 2.7 when we were finding percent of a number. So what I would actually probably do is take the 15% and then use PDL. So PDL, percent to decimal left, and then I get 0.15. Once I get the 0.15, then I'm just going to go ahead and multiply it out by the 40 that I had for my whole number. So 40 times 0.15, 5 times 0 is 0, then we have 20, 0 for placeholder, 0 and 4. So we get 0, 0, and 6. And then you can't forget that last step, which is going to be swoop, swoop, 2 spaces, swoop, swoop, 2 spaces, and you get a final answer of 6, but what it's saying is, and actually let me just write it correctly, 15% of 40 is 6. So when it's just asking you for percent of a number, you're going back to that 2.7 method, where you're just changing it to a decimal and then multiplying it out.